Hello and welcome back to yet another edition of the Hiking Journal. In this episode, I take a solo hike along one of the most busiest and most popular hiking trails in all of San Diego. A hike to the city high point, to the top of Cowles Mountain, only 8 miles northeast of downtown. Located in the San Carlos neighborhood within the Mission Trails Regional Park, Cowles Mountain's 1,593-foot summit is the highest point within the city limits of San Diego. It was named after George A. Cowles, a prominent landowner, rancher, and businessman who also founded banks, companies, and a railway. In 1875, Cowles began making large purchases of ranch land in the El Cajon Valley in San Diego County, eventually totaling about 4,000 acres. Now, poor old George Cowles died at an early age of 51 on November 26, 1887. Even though George died at an early age, he did leave behind a great legacy and a marvelous hiking trail to the top of the city with a mountain peak named in his honor, Cowles Mountain. For many years, Cowles Mountain was known locally as S Mountain. In 1931, 500 students from San Diego State College, now San Diego State University, painted a 400-foot tall letter S on the side of the mountain, after which it took its popular name. The main trail to the summit is a popular hiking destination, taking hundreds of people per day to a 360-degree panorama of San Diego County. The hike to the top is only about 1.5 miles, but it has an elevation gain of 950 feet. Cowles Mountain consists of Jurassic and early Cretaceous metavolcanic and shallow intrusive igneous rocks that are resistant to erosion and never covered by later Cretaceous and tertiary sedimentary overburden. Okay, so I really don't know what all that means. Maybe you geologists or rock hounds out there are familiar with some of those names. All I know is that there's a whole bunch of really interesting rock features along the way to the top, and you'll get to see those here in a minute. Not only is Cowles Mountain the highest point in the city of San Diego, it lies within the Mission Trails Regional Park, which is 6,150 acres and is the 7th largest open space urban park in the entire United States. And it's nearly 7 times the size of New York City's Central Park. The park has rugged canyons, rolling hills, flower meadows, and a variety of recreational opportunities. Miles and miles of trails that eventually work their way straight up and straight back down the mountain, making it a great place to get in an early morning or evening workout. There's mostly low-growing vegetation along the trail, giving visitors gorgeous views the whole way up. A 360-degree view from the summit will make the effort worth its while, and it's one of the most beautiful vistas in all of San Diego. Outstanding views of Mexico to the south, Coronado and downtown to the south and west, Palomar and the ranges beyond to the north, and Cuyamaca and El Cajon Mountains to the east are all obtained from its summit. The Cowles Mountain staging area is the start of my hike today. Located about 60 miles south of Temecula, it was an unusually pleasant drive south on the I-15 to Highway 52 and my exit off Mission Gorge Road. When I arrived at the trailhead parking area, I was lucky enough to get a spot right in front of the clean public restroom and water fountain. I knew this would be a busy place, but today there was just something kind of out of place. At first, I couldn't put my finger on it. Even though there was the sound of vehicle traffic rushing past and birds chirping in the trees, there was just this eerie quietness from about 20 or so people that had gathered at the trailhead. A group of about 12 men doing calisthenics just off the trail, women clutching their water bottles, holding their cell phones, and others dressed in running tights stretching their hamstrings. As I started up the trail, it hit me. Well, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Hiking Journal. Today I'm taking a drive to San Diego to try to climb to the top of Cowles Mountain. Now, Cowles Mountain is not that high as far as mountains go. It's only about 1,600 feet, I think. But what makes Cowles Mountain unique is that it happens to be the highest point in the city of San Diego. So it's the San Diego City high point, not the county high point. That's Hot Springs Mountain. But this is the city high point. And from what I've read, it's pretty much a short climb straight up to the top of the peak. And it's got tremendous views from up there, so we're going to enjoy that. I'm also going to connect it to another trail off the backside that heads over to Pyle's Peak. And that happens to be the second highest peak in the city of San Diego, so I'm looking forward to that. It's a little cloudy and cool this morning, so hopefully we'll have some views of downtown San Diego. Maybe if we get lucky, we'll get to see the Pacific Ocean off in the distance, and of course, all of the inland San Diego region in a 360. Hopefully I'll be able to see mountains out to the far east toward Laguna Mountain and maybe even Cuyamaca Peak. And who knows, maybe I'll get to see out over the Pacific Ocean toward San Clemente Island and Catalina Island. It looks like people are parking way down the hill here. I just came to the trailhead. So we'll see. It looks like that's the parking area, and it looks like it's going to be busy today. Oh well, I'm here at the trailhead. Well, good morning. It's a nice cool day here in January, and I'm in the city of San Diego, and I'm at the staging area for the Cowles Mountain Trail. Now, the Cowles Mountain Trail isn't that big as far as a mountain goes. It's only about 1,600 feet, I think, in total elevation. But what makes this hike special is it's the highest point in the city of San Diego. So, never been here before. It's part of the Mission Trails Regional Park. It's really busy. I was warned ahead of time. There's a ton of people up here, so and as you would expect, it's busy. You know, one thing that I did find a little unusual was right at the trailhead. There was an area off to the side. There was a park ranger park there, and he was watching a group of about 20 people that were doing calisthenics and yoga. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good. And it looks like I'm going to have to stop recording quite a bit today for the people coming and going down the trail. But anyway, what I was saying was the group of about 20 people were hard of hearing. They were deaf. And it's just kind of weird to see a group of 20 people or so working out in absolute silence. In fact, the two gals behind me, they were coming up the trail. They were doing sign language. So looks like there might be quite a large contingency of hard of hearing people. Hey, that's what ought to make for a quiet hike, I think. Looks like the trail's pretty well maintained as well. Lots of large timbers laid up here, probably to keep down the trail erosion. You know, the other thing I noticed when I started at the trail was there was a sign that talked about bringing your canine companions in. Be careful up here because it just is a little bit of inland San Diego, and it does get hot up here, and there's not a lot of shade. And I just warned, make sure you bring enough water. Take care of your dogs if you decide to bring one up here. But what I noticed was probably, I'm not exaggerating, 30 poop bags. So evidently, dogs do their thing, as dogs do, and the owners pick them up and just leave the bags beside the trail, which is not cool. Who knows? Maybe they did it on the way up, and on the way back they'll pick them up. That's what I hope. In the meantime, this is pretty much straight up. You know, now I read that there were some rocky sections here, and it looks like this could very well be one of them. I was going to wear my Luna sandals today, and I decided to bring my Salomon XA Pros. Those are my go-to hiking shoes that I wear when I know I'm going to be expecting rocky trails. Another little steep section. And of course, as this is near the city, with it you get all the sounds of habitation. This is by no means a remote location. It is pretty up here though. I'm heating up a little bit, climbing up the trail. I'm maybe almost halfway, but what I saw back there a little while ago was very unusual, for me at least. It was a blind guy hiking on the trail solo. He had his cane, his white cane with the red tip, and he was slowly picking his way through the rocks, working his way down the trail. So that's awesome, huh? Anyway, there's a lot of people up here. About every 30 seconds, 45 seconds, I pass someone. So a lot of them have headphones on, earbuds on, and say hi to them and they can't hear you. Usually they'll acknowledge you because they can tell what you're doing, but even the deaf girls said hi, kind of, sort of. They kind of mumbled, but I understood what they meant here. In fact, here comes a trail runner and more ambulances. Well, hopefully you can see the people up there snaking their way up the trail. I'll zoom in a little bit. All right, well, this is what I could see from further down. These look like just straight switchbacks snaking their way up to the top. And it goes up to the right. Somewhere up there is Cowles Mountain. Well, this is our first real good view of downtown San Diego. And we can also see jets flying into San Diego International Airport. And it looks like there's quite the marine layer off over the Pacific Ocean. We'll see if we get lucky and it clears up a little bit by the time we get to the top of Cowles. Since I have a fairly level stretch here, I can catch my breath. You can see all of San Diego down below me. A guy just passed me about 5 minutes ago. And I'm not kidding, I'm not exaggerating. I could have sworn it was Will Smith. Looked exactly like him. For all I know, it could have been Will Smith. Who knows, maybe there's something going on in San Diego. He's visiting relatives, or maybe he's got a film shoot. Who knows? But it looked exactly like him. And on the way by, he goes, I said good morning to him, and he said, "Morning, sir." So I thought that was kind of funny. Well, if you remember that switchback section that I showed you earlier, now we're on it. And we're about, 2/3 of the way up, I guess. I still have some more to go. As you can see, the conga line of hikers going up and down. Getting there. It's actually a pretty well graded trail. And even though it is steep in spots, it's actually really well maintained. There's signs everywhere. There's no way you can get lost here. I saw something, people do this as a night hike. I can imagine that. I could see that as a night hike, especially with the views of the city, especially on a clear night, maybe on a full moon. That would be awesome. In fact, you can see the trail down there winding its way back down toward the trailhead. I don't know if you can see that, but that's downtown San Diego in the distance. It's our first really good glimpse. We should clear up a little bit. Now it looks like I reached the top. Cowles Mountain. There's quite a few people up here. Obviously taking in the great views. I'll go over here to the sign. See, we got a bunch of radio repeaters to our left. Up there, we're gonna go check out the sign. Actually, it wasn't a bad climb. Oh, here we go. There's a view off the other side. Most people that come up here use this as the turnaround spot. Great view of downtown San Diego. It's a little hazy, but got a great 360 from up here. You know, I'm looking at this Cowles Mountain Summit plaque here, and it describes the peaks off in the distance. And the one that kind of catches my eye is that one kind of a rounded hump way off in the distance over there. The furthest one, not the closest one with the antenna. That's San Miguel Mountain. And then all the way to the right, you see like a flat top. Let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit. That says that's Mesa Redonda in Mexico, good old Mexico. From here, San Miguel Mountain, San Ysidro Mountains, and Otay Mountain. I think our ham radio club has a repeater up there. Tecate Peak is over there. Lions Peak, Baginti Mountain, Los Pinos Mountain, and then of course all the Laguna Mountains. And then down below is Grossmont College down there. I never knew where that was, now I know. And as you work your way to your left, we're going to come across Cuyamaca Peak, which is probably that one way over there, the pointy one in the distance. That's the second highest peak in San Diego County behind Hot Springs Mountain, which I've been to several times. Anyway, this is the 360 view from up here on top of Cowles Mountain, highest point in San Diego City. Now I gotta look for the side trail that heads over to Pyle's Peak. That's gonna be my next adventure today. Didn't take that long to get up here. Well, this is another view from the top of Cowles Mountain overlooking the repeater site. To the northwest, I'm assuming that freeway down there is most likely the 52. There once again is the Grossmont College campus. I don't know which one of these is Pyle's Peak. I'm going to have to get out my map, I guess. I'm assuming it's that one over there. So what about Pyle's Peak, the little brother of Cowles Mountain? Well, unlike Cowles Mountain, nearby Pyle's Peak is the second tallest peak in the city of San Diego at 1,379 feet. According to a volume of the Mission Trails Regional Park News, in the early 1970s, after a group of local doctors sold the land that encompassed the peak to the city and the county of San Diego, Kenneth Pyle, the chief cartographer for the San Diego County Planning Department, realized the peak was unnamed, and he took the liberty of naming it after himself, Pyle's Peak. Well, what do you know? Standing on the summit of Cowles Mountain right by the plaque, I could see pointy Pyle's Peak jutting out above the valley floor just past the array of satellite and radio communication antennas. All I had to do was find the least traveled path down the valley to the north and work my way up to the peak. How bad could it be? Okay, I just walked off the top of Cowles Mountain looking for the Pyle's Peak trail, and it looks like here it is. It's not going to go over to the repeaters like I thought. Pyle's Peak is probably that one off in the distance. I read you do go downhill quite a bit, and it looks like Pyle's Peak viewpoint is about a mile and 1.5 to the summit, so about a 3-mile side trail. We'll go do that one real quick. Shouldn't take too long. I heard it was kind of meandering up and down, and it gets a lot less crowded on this section of the trail, so that'll be a good thing. So I'm working my way back down to a little lower elevation and side trail over to Pyle's Peak. You can see the direction I'm going to be traveling along the ridge line here, actually just to the west of the top of Cowles Mountain. In fact, that's how far down I've come just in that short distance, so I'm going to have to climb this to come back up, as this is the way back to the Cowles Mountain Trail to get back down to the Jeep. So in the meantime, I'm going to be skirting the edge of this ridge, it looks like. So I'm working my way up and down. There's a spot called the Pyle's Peak View up here. It's another little side trail. I'm kind of interested in that one as well. So when we get close, I'll probably shoot up the side trail. It's not that far. Less than a 1/4 mile, I think they said. 1/10 of a mile. So I'll shoot up there and get a little shot of that. In the meantime, that's our view looking towards San Diego, and way off in the distance to the left is downtown San Diego. That's Mission Gorge Road, I believe, down there. Actually, that's probably Golf Course Drive down there. And the Mission Gorge looks like it's off that direction. I've been hiking down the trail to Pyles, and I can see probably the viewpoint over here on the right. And behind me is the repeaters on the top of Cowles Mountain. And like everybody said, there's been one person, I see one person in the last 15 minutes coming down from the top of Cowles Peak. And he said there's 2 more small groups, probably a total of 4 people ahead of me here. It looks like most people get to the top of Cowles and turn and go back. And that suits a lot of people because it's about a 3-mile hike up and back to Cowles, so similar to a 5K. It's a great training run, great training workout, leg strengthening workout, whatever you want to use it for, a cardio workout. It's close to the city. It's very well graded. It's very well signed. It's kind of a really nice hike, I hate to say. It's busy, but it's nice. But I'm going to continue on this direction to the north and west, it looks like, toward Pyles. And you can see where I'm heading. The trail is working its way to the left of that peak. That might very well be Pyles Peak View over there. And around to the left is the Pacific Ocean. Well, now that it's starting to climb again, as I'm working my way up toward the Pyles Peak View, I'm starting to heat up again. I was getting kind of chilly on the descent coming down from the top of Cowles, which is just on the other side of that repeater system there. You can see my trail coming down, and other than the one guy, I haven't seen anybody else. So it's warming up. The sun's trying to come out. We'll see. Hopefully it'll come out enough to be able to see a better view of downtown San Diego. But in the meantime, I got to keep climbing. Well, I see another sign in front of me here. This could very well be the markings of the side trail that are going to head to the Pyles Peak View. Let's see what this says. Looks like Pyles Peak Trail is difficult, and Pyles Peak Corral about a half mile, and Pyles Peak's about 0.68, but the viewpoint is up here. What do you think? Let's go do it. Well, I arrived at the Pyles Peak viewpoint. It's a short but rather steep little section, and there's our view of Cowles Mountain and the trail I came down to get to this point as I'm looking south, and of course way off in the distance through the haze is downtown San Diego. Anyway, this is it for the viewpoint. Not really a whole lot here, but glad I did it. Now I gotta continue on to Pyles Peak. In my haste to get out here on the trail this morning, I didn't have breakfast. And I hate to admit it, but I'm actually getting tired. And probably because I had nothing in me. But I decided to bring some of these. These Belvitas. These things are really good. In fact, here comes some hikers. First ones I've seen today. Well, it looks like this is Pyles Peak. See my trail to the left, looks like it switchbacks up. There's a railing about halfway up. You can see where the trail makes a turn. There is one hiker I can see way off in the distance on the left working their way down. And I'm not that far from it. In fact, way off in the distance down there, you can see the hiker stretching a little bit as they're working their way down from the summit. And again, downtown San Diego off to your left. Well, I'm at a little junction here on the way to Pyles Peak, and looks like this is a little used trail that's going to this nice little clearing. And looks like it's got some great viewpoints from here. Back off to the left up there, that's Cowles Mountain with the repeaters. My trail. And as we work our way around, there's downtown San Diego again. I'll zoom in so you can see the outline at least as it works its way to the north and west. I was hoping I could see the Coronado Bay Bridge, but it's out there somewhere in the haze. Not done yet. I still got to go up, up, up a little farther, up there to the top of Pyles Peak. Ooh, I know it doesn't look like much, but this section is pretty much straight up. It's pretty steep. Just take my time. getting there. It's getting steep up here. Not too far from the top of Pyle's, it's right up here. But this section's kind of steep. You have great views though. Well, it looks like I might be nearing the top of Pyle's Peak. I do see a sign over here where it says trail. I think that's what it says. Yep, the summit is in view. It's kind of hidden in the shrubs here, but I can see it. Well, it looks like I finally reached the top of Pyle's Peak here in the city of San Diego. This must be the summit marker. That last section was kind of a tough little climb. It leveled out toward the very end, but this looks like this is it. Let's see what this says. There we go. Pyle's. A little closer here so you can read it. Pyle's Peak is part of Cowles Mountain Area Mission Trails. Elevation 1,379 feet right here. So that's what we are right here at Pyle's Peak. Kind of like the little logo there. Little hiking boots in the mountains. It's kind of cool. Well, this is my lunch stop right here. Let's take a break. Well, I made it up the top of Pyle's Peak here in San Diego, and I brought with me a different bag today. I brought, this is what they call a Finnish bread bag. It's commonly used in the Finnish military, and I'm gonna make lunch up here today. I did bring along my canteen. Of course, my titanium canteen always goes everywhere with me. I brought along my little old and beat up Foster's pot. Made that myself. And I also brought along my transient stove with an impromptu little windscreen. So I'm going to set that up here. Now I'm going to get some water brewing so I can make some coffee and have lunch up here on Pyle's Peak in San Diego. Well, I've got my old transient stove burning here with my homemade phosphor pot. I'm just going to heat up some water. There's a little bit of a breeze up here on top of Pyle's Peak. I'm just going to heat up enough water for some coffee and then have my little lunch. I brought this tin. I always bring this tin with me. And today I've got a spoon and some coffee. I think I'm gonna get some hand warmers, even though you don't need them today. Got some instant coffee. Got some caffeine in it. It's also got my lunch in here. A little chicken salad with some crackers. I'll have some coffee with that, and maybe a honey stinger later. And after lunch then. Well, you won't be able to see it from this angle because it's daylight, but flames are shooting up pretty good at that little transient. I don't know if you're going to be able to get a peek at that or not. It's definitely getting warm. And in a little bit here, that'll probably almost get to a rolling boil. It's my Finnish bread bag. As we're looking off to the north and west, that's the ocean over there with a heavy marine layer. That looks like Highway 52 that's going through Mission Gorge over that way. And the final push to the summit of Pyle's Peak is right there. There is another couple working their way up here, so I got to get this video shot before they get up here. Anyway, getting a little bit of breeze finally. Actually feels good. And if you didn't believe me that the stove was hot, because you can't see the flames, you can see it's almost at a boil, even though you can't see the flames coming out of that transient. Of course, it just blew my windscreen over, but I think the coffee's hot enough. The last section is a little tough, but overall, it's been very well graded, very well signed. There are some ups and downs, but goes with the territory, I guess. And like everybody said, there's very few people on this side. I passed one solo gal going down and 3 other people coming down. And I know there's a couple more people coming up right behind me here in a minute. They'll be up here on top probably within 5 minutes. So I can enjoy this summit of Pyle's Peak to myself. And the sun is starting to come out and it's starting to heat up a little bit. I think it's time to fix my old phosphorus cup. This thing is probably 15 years old. I made this. It doesn't even leak. Anyway, hard part of the hike's over. The rest of it's going to be heading back. I do have to work my way back up to Cowles Mountain once I get down to the bottom. It's kind of a shame when you're at this level and you look over at Cowles Mountain, it's the same height, and then you got 1,000 foot of drop and incline coming back up, so oh well. It's actually not 1,000 feet, but it just seems like it.
My name's Rebecca. I live in San Diego, California, but I'm moving to Rhode Island, so.
And?
My name is Vaughn, and I live in San Diego, and this is probably where I'll be the rest of my life.
Can't be. Well, she might come back when she sees how good it is.
I might, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to me. You guys enjoy the rest of your hike.
Thanks for taking our picture.
Yeah, and enjoy Rhode Island.
We will. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, hi, I'm Judy. I'm hiking Pyle by myself. I'm so happy to run into Anthony, the YouTuber. Hope they'll see your videos on YouTube soon.
Well, I made it back up to the top of Cowles Mountain. And, well, I tell you what, it was no easy feat. Because you forget that when you leave Cowles, you go down a lot. You gotta work your way all the way back up to Pyles. And then when you leave Pyles, guess what? You go down way below the level of this. Then guess what? You gotta come back up. But hard part is over. Now, since we're at the top of Cowles, we're only a mile and a half from the car. Still got a great view from up here. Well, I'm working my way down from Cowles Mountain now. It's only about a mile, a little over a mile and a half. About that to get back to the car. I've already done another 3 or 4 going to Pyle's Peak and back, and I was actually getting really hot coming up the hill. Even though it's overcast and cool here in San Diego, it's about 65 degrees. It's cloud cover makes it nice. There's a little bit of a breeze, just a little. And it actually feels really good because I'm overheating a little bit. But, you know, I just saw something that was a little unusual. Something else. There's some rocks I got to negotiate here. It was a guy and a girl. The girl had a backpack. At first I thought it was a stuffed animal. It was a dog in the backpack, in the stuffed sack of the backpack. Cutest little fluffy thing. Anyway, that was pretty interesting. I'm working my way down. I should be back to the car, and I can see the switchbacks. 45 minutes maybe. Then I'll celebrate with a beer because I'm kind of thirsty and hot, and a mango cart just sounds phenomenal right now. Anyway, should be back to the car pretty soon. Hope you enjoy this edition of the journal. I'll hike up to Cowles Peak, or Cowles Mountain, and Pyle's Peak here in San Diego. Anyway, I'll catch you next time. Oh, another rocky section here. Anyway, I'll catch you next time on another edition of the journal. Don't know what it'll be. Have to find another good hike. Who knows? Maybe another one here in San Diego. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye. Well, thanks for watching this episode of the Hiking Journal, Cowles Mountain and Pyle's Peak. In the next episode of the journal, I take a 14-mile solo hike up along the San Jacinto Desert Divide to the top of Spittler Peak, where I have an almost tragic encounter with an icy trail and a slick waterfall. That'll all be coming up in the next episode of the journal. Be sure and hit the like and subscribe button and tell others about the channel. And take care, and I'll see you later down the trail. Bye-bye. Well, I made it all the way back to the car from Cowles Mountain and Pyle's Peak. Now I'm going to take a break here. Luckily, I got a really good parking spot right here in the front. I didn't have to park 5 miles down the road like a lot of people did. And I'm going to take a well-deserved break and have a beer. I need it today. Anyway, thanks for coming along. If you're so inclined after your hiking, go over to Cowles Mountain Coffee. Get you a Java.